massive occasion?
Yeah, look, obviously it's a big occasion, and clearly they're very excited. It's a big stage to play on. MCG, 90 to 100,000 people, and our first final with a lot to play for. So we think we're well prepared. We think we're ready. We've had a great couple of weeks of training, and we just can't get out there and wait to execute. What we've been doing for the last 8 weeks.
Max spoke a lot last week about learning a few lessons from last season, peaking at the right time, all those sort of things. Do you subscribe to that you're in a good position this year?
We feel like we've improved throughout the year, and that's the most important thing, is the improvement throughout the year. And we've been looking at that, how to get better all the time throughout the year. And we feel in the last 8 weeks we've been able to build our game to a point where we're ready for finals footy. We defend strongly, we win contests, and that's what finals footy is about.
Max wasn't the only one on Sunday that spoke about the desire to sort of make up for the feeling of last year and maybe missing an opportunity. As a coach, are you embracing and noticing, I guess, that motivation from last year as a group?
Oh yeah, in some ways, but it's a new opportunity, and every year poses a new opportunity, and we feel like we're well placed. We feel like we're ready, and we feel like we're ready to take that opportunity.
Craig was open yesterday about he says he's going to play both rucks on Thursday night. Would you be kind enough to do this the same and confirm that Brody's going to play at all?
Yeah, I thought I'd get some questions about Brody and some selection, but we're not going to go too much into selection. What I can say is Tom McDonald will play. He's ready. Obviously, Jake Melksham's out of the team, and he's one guy that will come in and play. But the rest of the selection, we've still got a few things to work through in the next few hours.
How exciting for Tom, given I think he missed out on the last year's finals campaign, and he's had an interrupted year, but how ready is he to go?
Yeah, he's got his timing right, Tommy, hasn't he? Look, he's played the last 3 games really well at VFL footy. He's kicking goals, he's moving better, he's got his body 100% fit and healthy, and that's really important for Tommy. He's a really important player for us. He's a leader, and he's proven that he can play well in finals footy. So we're rapt to have him back. Obviously, it comes at the opportunity of Jake Melksham, but he's really excited about what's possible and a big part of our footy team.
How's Bailey Fridge tracking?
Yeah, he's trained fully the last week, so he's ready to go. He did a fairly big running session, footy work on Saturday. He trained fully Monday. He'll train fully today. So there's no questions about Bailey. He's a class player, and we've got him ready to go.
Someone asked about the weather. Do you have to monitor that at all with hail and rain forecast?
There's some things that we'll look at structurally from a strategy perspective, whether the weather comes in, but from a personnel perspective, it won't change much for us. We've experienced a lot of wet weather footy this year, and a lot of slippery conditions. So we feel like our game's really improved in those conditions, and we feel like we're well prepared as a coaching group and a playing group to take on those conditions. So we'll assess that on the night, but the footy's footy. Finals footy's different. It's going to be contest based no matter what the weather looks like, and we'll just adapt to whatever's in front of us.
I know you guys did rest a few of the VFL players last weekend, but the previous game they played, there were so many excellent performances. Did a few players give you a few things to think about?
Oh yeah, you're right. There's some excellent performance. Obviously Brody had his best game for a while with 33 hit-outs and 3 goals. James Jordan, had 30 possessions. Charlie Spargo's in good form. So there's a lot of selection pressure coming from our group, and that's one thing that's really positive about our group is the depth in the playing group. And we feel, as I've said, that we're well positioned, we're healthy, we've got pressure for selection, and we've got guys that can come in and execute roles to a really high level. So with that, the game is going to come down to the team that wins more moments, and that's something we have focused on throughout the season, is our ability to stay present, to stay clear, to build real clarity about what's expected, and to win the moments that are most important, and that's what the game's going to be about tomorrow night.
On Brody's selection, do you look back to his performance on King's birthday more broadly? Do you look at how well Melbourne played on that day to beat Collingwood?
Yeah, look, that was a different personnel, different time of the year. And you're right, Brody played exceptionally well on that day. And there were some key things that we looked at on that day that were pretty successful for us. But, this is a different opportunity, different personnel. They've got 5 or 6 players that didn't play in that game. We've got a few that didn't play either. So I think we've got a pretty clear picture about Collingwood, what their strengths are, as they would have about us. So in the end, it's going to be the team that does execute the way they want to play better, win those moments, stay present. It's going to be an arm wrestle. There'll be momentum swings, and it'll be the team that takes them.
Has Michael the comments you're thinking this week? Is he one of your selection dilemmas at the moment?
Yeah, he's in the selection mix. He's one of those guys that, he's got that experience, around finals footy. You know what he's going to bring. And we've just got to weigh up some things in the back half of the ground about which way we go. And we'll make that decision post-training today.
You spoke about timing, before with Tommy McDonald coming back in. I guess from a collective perspective, Collingwood were just on fire, halfway through market this year, similar to where you guys were last year. I mean, how do you see, from a collective point of view, timing your run, which you guys found out last year to be, so pivotal, given you were so dominant, similar to what Collingwood was before falling off at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think, Craig McRae's touched on that, in terms of where their psychological mindset was at. It is a challenge when you're sitting out in front by that far, and your sort of place is secured and your position in the top 4 secured, your position in the top 2 secured. So I'm sure they'll be ready to be at their best. They're a high-class footy team. They've got some really clearly identifiable strengths that are really challenging for opposition. We know what they're going to bring. They're a really fast offensive team that certainly play the game with a lot of flair and excitement. So that's going to be a challenge for us, but they'll be ready.
I think as a footy world, we'd be naive to think players aren't meeting with other clubs. Brodie's met with another club. Do you have any issue, given it's a club you might play in the next few weeks? Is that add a little bit more confusion, ambiguity around it?
No issue from my end. I think we're a mature industry now. There's probably 50 players around the league that would be meeting with different clubs at this time of the year, and it's a pretty commonplace in the industry these days. And Brodie's a professional footballer. He's a really mature player. He really focuses in on performance. He has really loved the Melbourne Footy Club and doing what he does here. He knows he's got a 4-year contract, and he knows he's going to keep pushing this year to play finals footy. So I think we're more mature as an industry now, and it's certainly not something that I'm giving a lot of energy to in terms of those type of conversations. But those things play out in time.
Understand that, but does he, given the maturity around it, does he come to you and say, look, this is happening just so you hear it from me rather than someone else?
Oh no, we're across what's going on around there. Our list manager and the managers are involved in all those discussions, and we really understand what's going on. I don't need to have that conversation with Brodie. I know what he does from a day-to-day perspective. I know he's going to train to a really high level and be ready to perform, and that's the industry we live in now.
The pre-finals bye, have you tackled that any differently to last year, considering when you won the flag it was pre-grand final, last year it was back to pre-finals? Have you tweaked with preparation and that kind of thing heading into tomorrow night's game?
I think it's different every time you do it. This time we're coming off a 11-day break compared to what would traditionally be a 14 or 15-day break. So we're a little bit different in terms of our preparation, in terms of the last couple of weeks. And every time you play, it's a little bit different, depending on when you play your first final to your next final. So all these breaks are different, and we're pretty clear on the type of preparation that we want leading into a game. So we feel like the players trained incredibly well on Monday. We'll train again today, and we'll be ready for tomorrow night.
Well, the team in the top 8 has the premiership winning experience that your group has. How important will that be this month, do you think?
I think you can draw on those experiences. There's no question about that, both in terms of what it does to take to be successful in finals, but also some of the things that are challenging within finals. And there's lots of things that are challenging, and you've got to work your way through it. And that's what we talk about, a mindset about being really clear about what wins in big games. And it will come down to winning more moments. There's no question about that. And our players have spent a lot of time in that space. And they're really excited by it. A mature group that understands what it takes is important.
Your neighbours Collingwood, they're a noisy bunch from a fan point of view. What's your message to the D's fans to try to bring in to try to match that on?
I think we've got 50% of the stadium, haven't we? So there'll be 50% Melbourne fans there. So looking forward to seeing those guys really rival the Collingwood fans as well. So 50% of tickets for us is great.
So I just want to ask about the carrot that's in front of you, a potential home preliminary final at the MCG. How massive is that?
Oh, clearly, there's big stakes tomorrow night. It's where you want to be. You want to be winning finals footy and giving yourself the best opportunity moving forward. But you finish in the top 4 for a reason. So our sole focus is playing well tomorrow night. We'll learn a lot about our group, but there's lots of pathways forward. So we're just looking in the space of right now, here and now, about what's possible.